We're live. I did the Wayne's Rule thing.
You did.
Happy Not Thursday, everybody. It's 10 a.m. Wednesday, and this is our special Wednesday edition of Real Estate Now. So thank you for joining us. I, Keith Pitch, am joined with my co-host, Stacy Chevalier. Stacy.
Hello, everybody. Nice to see everyone this sunny morning, at least for us.
Yay, we both point in the right direction.
Yeah. After a year, we're getting this down. So let's jump into what's going on in the market.
It only took a year. Hold on. Let me get my mouse going here. Okay, so add to the stream. So the market, we're starting it off hot. We're starting to fall back down. So we peaked a couple weeks ago at 3.18, and over the last 2 weeks we've dropped down, and we're still on the downward trend right now. Knock on wood, or knock on treehouse. So Stacy, we may be back below 3% next week.
I know. Rates are going down. What we've been saying is going to happen. So that's exciting.
So what this is like a mulligan for all of you that sat on the sidelines that were like, I didn't get my under 3% 30-year fixed on my refinance. Do it now. Now's the time, right?
Yeah. So, I'm not going to always say they're going to go down. At some point, I'm going to be saying up, 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 up for probably years after this. So yeah, definitely buy now, refinance now, whatever you need to do it now. And that's why today I'm so excited about our show. So let's bring in our guest because we're going to be talking about renovation.
Without further ado, Milton Manolis joins us. He is the VP of our renovation lending department here at Loan Depot. Milton, how you doing?
Which is number one. Milton is number one in the country. Good job, Milton.
Thank you.
Yeah.
No. Good job to you guys. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. I always enjoy being with you.
Yeah.
And Milton, for those of you who don't know, he does have a sidekick. Her name's Kimberly. You can't see her, but she's here. She's in the background. She helps make it all happen. So thank you both to Milton and Kimberly for those of us that work alongside them for being here today. So yeah, let's jump right into it for our audience.
For sure.
Absolutely. So Milton, let me set the stage for you. I'll give you a real life example of why I think renovation lending, and you can speak further to this, is super important right now in this market. So I had 3 of my clients make offers this week, and 3 of them asked over $100,000 over the asking price, and all 3 of them lost.
Wow.
All 3 of them.
That's crazy.
So it's like, holy smokes. The fewest offers on those 3 transactions, the fewest offers was 22 offers on the one house. Then we had 27 and 36. So this is where renovation lending, in my opinion, comes into play, right? But let's talk about that.
Are these people bidding $100,000 over on like they're a pretty nice home without like they're not thinking this is a tear down or a reno?
No, they're not.
Yet. Okay, got it. Yeah, so let's bring in. So, Milt, what do you say about that in the inventory?
Well, listen, guys, I'll tell you, we're seeing that across the country. It's not isolated, and there's opportunities. There's different routes you can take by leveraging renovation lending. Essentially, people are out there looking for the home that fits perfectly instead of looking for the home they can make perfect, and that's kind of what they need to do. It's as the supply shrinks, you're going to see that, and you have to kind of shift their thought process, right? So instead of trying to find the perfect home, which is what everyone's trying to do, right? They really need to isolate the perfect suburb or school district or neighborhood, and then we make it the perfect home. And so there's a lot of trends we're starting to see emerge nationwide as well as a result of this, right? And, the reason you're getting so many offers on that home is because it's perfect for a lot of people, because that's what they're looking for. They just need to change that a little bit, right? So, that's why accessory dwelling units have become so popular, and building additions on smaller homes has become popular. So we're teaching people to get into the perfect area, neighborhood, whatnot, and let's make it the perfect home. And so what that means is if you're looking for a $700,000 home and you can't find one and everybody's overbidding it, maybe scale it back a little bit. Maybe you could find something smaller, something that needs the work at say $500,000 and make it perfect. And so this is the kind of leverage that these renovation loans give you, especially in a market like this.
Yeah, that's a powerful thing. So let's touch on one thing you just said. Take a smaller house, and in the Seattle market, we've got a lot of homes that there are the typical 880 square foot, 2-bedroom, 1-bath,
Right.
mid-50s build that were built for large mass scale housing units. And a lot of those folks are trying to do this right now. They're trying to sell that house for that $500,000 or $550,000 and then go buy that $700,000 to $800,000 house when they could do what you just said, which is add an addition. Tell us a little bit about adding onto a house.
So you can essentially, you can build out an addition on the home. You can go up, you can go out. You can build an accessory dwelling unit, which could be attached or detached. And an accessory dwelling unit is really just, a living space, a kitchen, a bathroom, and a bedroom, right? As long as it meets those 4 things. So with what's been happening with the pandemic, we have a lot of families staying together. They're growing, kids coming back to move back in with the parents, and there's not enough space. So building a detached accessory dwelling unit meets that demand. It helps offset the housing shortage, and that's why Fannie Mae and HUD allow those to be built now. So yeah, you can build an addition and build out, knock out walls, and make a bigger living room. Add a master bedroom. You could build up, add a second or third floor if that's what you want to do. But those detached or attached units, they just have that its own living space, right? It's just its own little home, if you will, right? It can't have its own address. It's got to be part of the main structure as far as the tax ID number and the utilities. But we're seeing a big move towards that. And so really, if people are in a position where maybe they think they need to move because they've run out of space, to your point of the housing stock out there, you can certainly just build it out. And if people who are looking to purchase, maybe first-time home buyers, looking to purchase, a house and they're looking at it, it's exactly where they want it to be, but it's too small. Well, with an FHA 203K, you can knock the house down and build a brand new house.
Oh, wow.
On the footprint, you just build a brand new house. And this is done with a 30-year fixed mortgage where you're locking in these rates. So there's a lot of options. It's just people need to be aware of them, right? And not limit themselves. And so, yeah, so it's pretty cool.
So you mentioned briefly, you made a comment that with the ADU and adding on, you can go outside the footprint, all those things. It's exciting. What are high level? When do you need to keep your footprint and when can you go outside the original foundation?
So if you're going to tear a home down to build a new home using an FHA specifically, you have to incorporate the current foundation. So you can build a bigger house, you can expand it, but you got to use what's there. In other words, if you want to tear the house down and build it on the other side of the lot, you can't do that, right? It's got to be where the slab or basement is now, and you can build a much bigger home. With the accessory dwelling units, you can have it attached or detached. If you're going to do detached, it could be anywhere on the lot. It's a detached unit, but it's smaller than the main residence, right? Smaller than the main residence, does not have its own utilities, because if it had its own utilities, it would be counted as a second unit. You'd go from a single family to a duplex, right? So it would share the utilities with the main home, but it would be considered a coach house or an in-law. They call it different things in different parts of the country. But that's a really big deal right now, like I said, because you have these families that are growing and they need more space and maybe some privacy.
Yeah, that's a huge option for folks. And so the other option that I think people don't think about is just renovating their house, right? I live in a 1967 built split level. It is like the epitome of everything. And if we wanted to upgrade, we could just tap into that equity right now. It's not just for purchasing. You can refinance it too. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about how these come through the purchase channel and then also the refinance channel. So somebody can purchase with a renovation loan, right?
Absolutely. And
So
go ahead.
what does a purchase with a renovation loan look like? It's a little different than your standard purchase, but so what does that look like in comparison to a standard purchase?
That's a great question. So the mortgage process itself is the same. The way the customer, gets pre-approved and goes through that credit approval process is the same. What's different is that in addition to the money to purchase the home, we roll in all the money they need to rehab or upgrade the home. And so what we're going to ask for is a contractor's bid so that we can order the appraisal. And then we approve the contractor. We retain all the construction funds. So after closing, Loan Depot is dispersing the funds to the homeowner and the contractor as the work gets completed. But when we order the appraisal, we're asking the appraiser to give us the future value. So we don't care what they're buying the home for. What we're looking for is what is it going to be worth when it's done? And as long as that number supports the purchase and the renovation, you're there. So for example, if somebody's buying a home for $700,000 and they're doing $50,000 in work, we're going to ask the appraiser to deliver us an appraisal based on the work being done. So they're going to give us a future value saying, okay, listen, you're buying it for $7, you're putting 50 into it. When you're done, it's going to be worth 770 or whatever that number is. And that's what the loan is based on. Just as if 750 was the purchase.
Hold on one second. I'm going to back you up. We're getting a little feedback. Let's see if that fixes it. There we go. Are you back?
What was the last sentence you said, Milton?
So you take the purchase price of 700, you roll in the 50, and we're asking, is it worth the 750, right? And the appraiser is going to give us that future value based on the repairs being done. And so all the numbers are based on 750, just as if 750 was the purchase price.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So when you write the contract.
Yeah, let me just add, it's much easier. I'm sorry, Stacy. It's much easier than people think. There's a lot of bad information out there, and really just think of it in simple terms. The purchase price plus the total renovation amount, you add those two together, and that's what your down payment is based on. That's what your mortgage payments, that's what everything is based on. Go ahead, Stacy.
That's it. You answered it. You answered the question right there. Perfect. Yeah.
I can read your mind.
Simple math. Yeah. So I'd just like to reiterate, the only difference between a purchase reno and a regular purchase is involving a contractor and getting the bids for the scope of work.
That's correct.
That's it.
That's it.
The mortgage process is the same. We're going to order appraisals. We're going to look at title. We're going to, like Milton said, go through your income, assets, and credit. But you're just bringing in one extra guy, which is your contractor, to make that house just totally nice, like Milton's there. So
exactly.
So then just to put a bow around that, what you just said, Keith, you for those, most of us have never done a renovation, you will close as a normal loan, and then the renovation work happens after. So this is not like a 6 month, 4 month, however long your project is, mortgage process. You close and then the work happens.
That is key, and that's correct. And at the closing, it doesn't take any longer. There's about 6 documents that the borrower signs. But other than that, at the title company or at the closing, you will not notice any difference.
So you walked us through the mathematics with the purchase price plus reno budget. That's where your down payment and all that stuff is predicated on. What does it look like for a renovation loan?
Refinance?
Or refinance, thank you. A refinance.
So a refinance is exactly like any other refinance. We're going to pay off the old loan with a new loan, but the new loan is going to include the renovation. So if they're paying off a $400,000 loan and the bid is 50, the new loan is 450, and the process is the same. We're going to take the contractor's bid. We're going to order the appraisal. The appraiser is going to give us the future value, and as long as that supports it, then you're fine. And so essentially, it's the exact same process as a normal renovation. It only begins to differ when it's time to order the appraisal. And then the magic happens after closing, when they start work and we start dispersing funds. and cutting them checks to buy materials and get the work started and so forth. And we work with the customer all the way through. Everything is controlled and done in-house. So yeah, refinance is really simple.
Nice. Well, what are we seeing right now as far as trends? Are we seeing more refinance renos coming through, or are we seeing more purchase renos coming through as a company?
Well, that's a great question. So a couple of trends that we've noticed, right? We're seeing more purchases come through. And there was actually an article that came out today talking about how a lot more people, younger generation, is turning to fixer-uppers because they're getting priced out with what scenario you talked about this morning is exactly what they had in this news article that came out on how people are writing offers, and they're going tens of thousands over the asking price and losing to offers that are tens of thousands more than theirs. Okay?
Yeah.
And so that source of frustration now is people are shifting and looking for fixer-uppers. And so that's a major trend. I was talking to a couple of people recently, and they both told me the same thing. I mean, they've been working with a lot of renovation loans. They have a lot of they've originated quite a few of them. Okay, and essentially, they told me that really right now that's what their agents are going after. That's what's out there, and that I'm sure soon enough will get scooped up as well. And so you're going to see people, as long as they understand, and we'll guide them through the process, they're going to start shifting and moving towards those homes that need a lot more work. And as a result, we're seeing our renovation average, right? So we're seeing the average amount nationally of what homeowners are putting into their home rise significantly, right?
What is that number? Because if I remember from Milton's trainings, I'll pull this out, see if it's accurate. People were spending about $23,000 when they moved into a house, maybe around there. What are people spending now? That's not a renovation, right? That's just what they spent moving in.
That was just what they were spending to get the house, paint and maybe wallpaper and trim and flooring and stuff like that. And that's significantly more now. And more importantly, on renovation loans, on rehab projects, right, where they're going in, we're seeing those numbers increase significantly, which means people are going after these smaller homes that need work. They learn about how these programs can help them. And essentially, guys, you're doing two things. You're helping the homeowner put equity in their pocket, and you're helping revitalize the neighborhood. And those are massive, right? And so as soon as they understand how that program helps them, they're open to building out and making the home perfect for them. And to Keith's point earlier, they may find something 800 square feet and they could put on 1,000 square foot addition, right? And so in and of itself, that 800 square foot house might not meet their needs, but that's okay because they have options.
Yeah, what a strategy that would be if you had that budget of like 750, and instead of fighting for the 750 houses, you went and bought a $475,000 to $500,000 house and just doubled the size for you for what you want.
That's right.
That's powerful. That's huge.
Right. One other trend, guys, that we've identified, good and bad, right, is that we're seeing a lot of transactions that start out as non-renovation, right? They're not renovation. And when the appraisal comes back, there's just blatant, obvious health and safety issues with the home. And I get it, right? I mean, it's that kind of world we live in now where all parties in the transaction are crossing their fingers and hoping the appraisal comes back good, and it's not. And so people need to know, when you find yourself in that position, it's very simple to convert it from a non-reno to a reno. Okay, there's a couple of steps that have to occur. Okay, but then we could finance in those repairs that the appraiser called out. And so people are not only overbidding properties, but they're overbidding them and ignoring the health and safety or minimum property standards because they just so desperately want that. And I think they're hoping to gain some leverage with sellers maybe as the transaction goes along, and it might be a little easier to go back to the seller and ask them to make repairs when you're supposed to close in a couple of weeks. But that's a big risk now, especially with the way prices are moving.
I know you had your hand in a lot of loans, but didn't we have a situation like that here in the Seattle market?
Yep, we did. Just a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, what was that scenario? What was called out in that example?
So there was quite a bit. Like when I was reviewing the photos, it was pretty obvious. And the appraiser probably had about, if I would say probably 12 to 13 items, if I remember correctly, that required repairs. The seller was not going to do it, right? So we were able to take it from a straight FHA 203B normal FHA transaction. We kept the same appraisal because you don't need a new appraisal, and we converted it to a 203K. Pardon me. We were able to utilize the 110% variance, allowing us to finance those repairs in, and we got a bid from the contractor. Now, I know I said a lot there, guys, but essentially, these loans, especially the 203K FHA's version, was set up with a cushion to understanding that not everything a homeowner does is going to give you dollar for dollar value. So in this case, the repairs that the appraiser called out, that was deferred maintenance, right? And so those were not going to really give us the value that if they did all that work, wouldn't really impact the value, but we were still able to finance it. And so that's the hidden gem with the 203K. And that's why it's so important to work with a company like Loan Depot that not only understands that, but that implements it. It's not a different loan. It's not an exception or anything like that. It's just part of the math that HUD established, 40 years ago, really, when they first came out with it.
Yeah, somehow we need to get that out. I mean, we're trying, right? That's why we do things like this. But I am so grateful that consumer was with us, because that was not an easy transaction at all. It took a lot of people to have it come together. So thank you, Milton and Kimberly, for all your work on that one. But if they weren't with that particular loan officer that was aware in Loan Depot, like they would just, deal wouldn't close, right? So it's really important to be with someone that has all that experience. So
and let me add to that, Stace. In that scenario, the appraiser was not very experienced, I don't think, right? They made it quite difficult. They didn't really understand. But normally it's very simple. We did one the other day in Denver, and we had it converted and issued final approval within 24 hours. Because
that's the normal one, right? But just so the general public knows, it can go from complicated to normal. But we're here to help with all of it. So
that's correct.
That's great. Yeah. And most people don't know that trick. I see you teach your classes, Milton, and people are like, what? Say that again. Tell us again what you're talking about. How do we do that?
Yeah, it's very special.
It's a powerful pivot.
It is. I mean, really, guys, what HUD did is, many, many years ago, decades ago, they basically came out and said, look, everything a homeowner does to a home, it may not give it dollar for dollar value, but we don't want the home buyer in the neighborhood to suffer. So let's give them a little cushion so that if it doesn't give them dollar for dollar value, they're still able to get into that home and improve the housing stock. And that one variable, that value feature is immensely powerful, and it helps to this day. And those are perfect examples of it.
Yeah.
One other powerful thing that I think we totally forgot to talk about right off the bat, and it just popped into my head. VA renovation's back, man.
I was thinking the same things.
Holy smokes! I meant to lead with that.
Yeah.
Because we've been talking Fannie Mae, we've been talking FHA, but finally VA renovation's back.
Yeah, guys, we're very excited. So essentially, the circular that was rescinding the COVID restrictions to VA appraisers is not being extended. And in our conversations with VA, we're rolling our VA renovation back out. It's exciting because of all the mortgage products I've ever been involved with, that is the most exciting to me. That's the one that I'm most happy and proud about, and I love being involved with that. So essentially, we're able to give the veteran all the money they need to purchase the home and to renovate the home, and it's still using their entitlements. There's no money down, and 30-year fix like any other VA loan. And now we go up to $2 million. So $2 million, a lot of people may think, well, is that really necessary? Well, yeah, in your marketplace and all up and down the West Coast, it's very necessary, and on the East Coast, right? and being able to give a veteran that type of advantage, because if you think about it, without the VA renovation loan, the veterans are locked out, okay? Because there's too many homes that need work, and it's already a tight housing market like we're talking about. So if a veteran wants to utilize their entitlement, which they earned, and they can't because the home doesn't meet minimum property standards, they can't buy a house. And it just doesn't work, right? That's just, I mean, there's all kinds of things you can say about that. The VA renovation loan fixes that. And so the home does not have to meet minimum property standards. It does not, it could have health and safety issues. We'll finance it, and it'll be fixed after closing. And we'll do that up to $2 million. So it's a wonderful program. But guys, as you guys know, the most important part of the VA renovation loan, it's not just, building an addition and updating the kitchen and things of that nature. It's really golden when we're able to make a home accessible for a disabled veteran. Okay, whether it's ramps, lift gates, expanding doorways, retrofitting the restrooms or the kitchen. I mean, there's so much we can do to help, and it gives me chills. I love that product. I mean, it's just it's a wonderful product. So thank you for bringing that up and reminding me.
Yeah, after years hiatus, it's back, and it's been and I have to say, I've had 3 opportunities this past year that I've had veterans come to me and say, "Hey, do you offer that?" And I've had to say no. Unfortunately, we don't right now because VA's got a moratorium on sending out appraisers and inspectors. And so I'm super proud that the Veterans Affairs decided to get back to work on that, because it's such a pivotal piece for the veterans in the active military. So
that's right.
Super awesome. Hey, we got a couple minutes left, and I think we should probably share some success stories.
Oh, there you go.
Of renovation lending, so people can kind of conceptualize what's really going on here. And so tell us about this one.
So that one is a home that we financed. It was a purchase. The home was beautiful. Didn't need anything. As you can see, that's the kitchen. Kitchen was perfect. Okay. But the homeowners wanted a new kitchen. So we financed the purchase and the renovation of a new kitchen, and that's what they built after closing. Everything happens after closing. Doesn't matter what the condition of the home is. Nothing is required prior to.
Yeah, and just to really kind of drive this home, the seller got their money, they got their purchase price, they moved on with their life. Our buyer turned around after closing and put this together.
That's correct. That's correct. It does not impact the seller. It does not impact the agents. We're just rolling in the extra money, and we did, and they were able to build out their dream kitchen. Dream kitchen that was based on, I don't remember which show it was, but it was on one of the HGTV shows, right? Because people are watching those shows, and they're like, that's the dream, right? And so that's what they want to build. A lot of times, guys, they go out and they look for that, right? They look for that dream when it doesn't exist, right?
That looks like a Joe special right there, fixer upper. That's me. Yeah, exactly. And I'll say this: after putting white lower cabinets in my kitchen with 2 kids and 2 dogs, I would never do white lowers again, ever. Period. No, not gonna do it.
I hear you.
Tell us about this one.
Yeah. So this one was pretty extreme, and so that was the front room or living room, and they purchased it. We financed all the gut rehab, and that's what they built. Yeah, that's literally what you would expect to see on those shows, right? I mean,
that's the same house.
That's the same front room, same living room. It's amazing what they did.
Hold on.
And then I think we have that's it right there.
So you knocked out the wall.
Yeah.
Redid the fireplace. Wow.
There's a total gut. Yeah, they gut rehabbed it, and that's the interior. They opened it all up, open floor plan, hardwood floors. They did a wonderful job.
How gorgeous.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I believe that's the kitchen. Same house, right? That's the kitchen.
Okay.
It's right behind the front room. That's the before. And go ahead and show them the after. Ridiculous.
Wow.
Yeah. And so if a customer, if you need a little bit of vision, right? You need to think about what you want, but you can have pretty much whatever you want. And that's gorgeous.
That's gorgeous. We got one more to share. What happened with this one?
Yeah, so a lot of people think there's restrictions with renovation loans and what you can do, and there's really not. This home was purchased as is. The contract, as just like all renovation offers, are as is offers. So this was an as is offer. They did an FHA loan on this property, and we tore it down, and they built a brand new home, and that's what they built. Now, if you notice in the after photo, you can sort of get a sense of the property line. It's a narrow lot. They did build bigger. They built a bigger home off the back, right?
Just
but,
straight on back.
Yeah, straight out back. But they tore it all down using an FHA loan, 30-year fixed. Tore it all down, built a brand new house.
Wow.
So Milt, when you see as is or cash only, financing not available on this home, is obviously they can do a reno as you're sharing here. Is the option FHA in that case? Are there other options or just FHA?
Well, in this particular scenario, what's on the screen now was an FHA because FHA allows you to tear down the home. Conventional home style, which is a Fannie Mae product, essentially you have to leave a couple of walls up. You can't do a complete tear down because they consider that then more of a new construction. But in this particular, in front of us, it was a complete tear down.
Wow.
It's amazing.
Awesome.
We do have one question in the chat from our friend Cynthia at Loan Depot, but let's see. Is there anything special we need to do for VA reno?
You know, we've set up the VA reno to mirror the 203K, FHA 203K. We did this for efficiency purposes, and we did it because it really lets the veteran do more work, right? And open up a lot of doors for them as far as what's allowed. So, you know, there's nothing really you need to do. I mean, obviously, you know, it's just a very powerful loan, and you're going to follow that same process, right? They get into a contract, you get a bid from a contractor, we order the appraisal with that bid. So the process is exactly the same. So there's nothing different that you need to do.
Gotcha. I know this comes up in every single reno conversation that I have, but is there a house to renovation ratio that if the house is, you bought the house for $100,000, you couldn't put more than $100,000 into it or what have you? Is there a special number like that?
So on a conventional renovation loan, there is. FHA not. But on a conventional, there is. You really only see that come into play if somebody's over improving a property. Let's say they're buying a house for $40,000 and they're putting $300,000 into it. That rule is put out there by Fannie to make sure that people don't over improve it. And what the rule basically says is the amount of renovation, not the loan amount, just the amount of renovation cannot exceed 75% of the future value. So on normal transactions, and especially in the market we're in now with prices going up, you're really not going to see it. But again, you can. If they're buying something very cheap and they're putting a lot of money into it, it could and probably will come into play. And that's just to make sure that, again, they're not over improving it because it'll be upside down in value. You know what I mean?
Awesome. Well, we are at our half hour. Milton, thank you so much for joining us and bringing this topic back to the forefront of everybody's mind. Claps. And
one more. Shannon used to say hi. Shannon wants to say hi.
Hello.
So, I mean, it's a powerful tool that I think more and more people could use in this market to win their offer, just thinking outside the box.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a scary thought, but I just want those out there to know that there are lenders and there are people like Milton that are here to help you through every step and to take some of that concern and fear and whatever you're worried about away with helping with vetting contractors, just all of it. So we try to make it as simple as we can for you.
That's true.
Awesome.
Yep.
Thanks again, man. We'll catch you later, and let us know if there's any updates on anything renovation. We'd love to bring that back to the viewership and go from there.
Very good. Thanks for your time, guys. We'll see you. Have a great
Thanks,
day.
Will. Thanks, Kimberly.
Well, there you have it. Renovation loans, put it in your quiver. Use it out there in the market today. It could be a game changer. So that's all I got for this week. Stacy, any last words?
No, just thanks everyone, and give us a call if you have any questions on renovation.
Yeah, share, like, and thumbs up. We'll